Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into those dry corporate reports so you don't have to. Today we're cracking open Orion S.A.'s latest proxy statement, and it's not as dull as it sounds. Think of it like this. We're about to uncover who's trying to get a seat at the table, how much they're getting paid, and if these shareholders are happy about it. There's even a juicy little fraud incident we will touch upon. It's like a corporate soap opera, but with spreadsheets. Orion S.A, a Luxembourg-based company, is getting ready for its annual general meeting, a big shareholders shindig happening in June. This proxy statement is like the cheat sheet, telling everyone what's on the agenda and who the board recommends voting for. First up, a boardroom reshuffle. Shareholders get to vote on who gets to be a director. There are 9 spots up for grabs, and 8 of the nominees are already on the board. There's one new face, Jacqueline Hugerbrugger. One long-serving member, Hans-Dietrich Winkhaus, is stepping down, so it's always interesting to see if the company will choose someone to replace him or just keep the number down by 1. Next, it's about the money, honey. Shareholders are asked to approve how much the board of directors will be paid. We'll check how generous the company has been feeling. Also, there is another vote, a non-binding one this time, to approve the compensation of the top executives. It's called a say-on-pay vote, and it's like a report card for the company's HR practices. Of course, there's the usual business of approving the company's financial reports from the past year, basically rubber stamping the books. That also includes discharging the members of the board of directors and the independent auditor, Ernst & Young, which means signing off on their job well done, or at least not done badly enough to sue over. Speaking of Ernst & Young, shareholders also get to vote on whether to keep them as the company's auditor for all the statutory accounts required by Luxembourg law. Plus, they'll vote on the outside team that takes care of all the public accounting things that America requires. Think of it as hiring the people who check the company's homework just to be sure there aren't any mistakes that would land everyone in hot water. Finally, there's a proposal to let the company buy back its own shares, which is like giving the board a credit card to spend on the company's stock if they think it's a good deal. Let's dive into it. Here is the quick rundown. Election of directors, compensation for the board, and a say-on-pay vote for those top execs. They're also going to rubber stamp the financial accounts and the authorization to buy back their own shares. Board is recommending for all. Time for the numbers. Orion's net income took a big hit, landing at $44 million, much lower than the $10 even dollars they made in the past couple of years. The main culprit, that fraud incident we talked about. Despite the profit dip, they managed to pull in over $300 million in adjusted EBITDA for the 3rd year straight. That EBITDA generation was about 14% higher than pre-pandemic, even with lower volumes and a stronger dollar. Despite the economic headwinds, Orion is pushing ahead with strategic moves. They broke ground on a new plant in La Porte, Texas to make high-purity conductive carbon additives. And keep in mind, they put money into a European tire recycling company, showing they are not just talking sustainability, but putting their money where their mouth is. This company seems to love sustainability. They're all about enabling carbon black, circular carbon black, and renewable carbon black. This translates to competitive advantage over time if consumers will actually pay for it. Now, who's steering the ship? The board is a mix of folks with experience in everything, from law and finance to operations and technology. 33% of the board is female, and they hail from 5 different countries. Diversity and experience are always a good thing, at least on paper. They've got pretty good governance practices as well. Most of the directors are independent, they hold annual elections, the directors visit plants to learn about stuff, and everyone is putting in the hours with 98% attendance in board meetings. These guys did not have a great year in terms of salary compared to previous years, with performance metrics like STI payouts being highly dependent on performance. The comp committee is focusing on creating long-term value, so that is good. Alright, back to the shareholder meeting. You have got to own shares as of April 24th, 2025 to vote. No one is expecting you to go to Luxembourg to vote, but there are call-in options and mail options that will work just fine. In conclusion, board is recommending to vote for their nominees. The key players and how they watch over different risks are split into committees. They have the audit committee that watch over accounting and compliance, the compensation committee, which watches over executive pay and human capital, and the nominating, sustainability and governance committee. The board also establishes an executive committee in 2019 to deal with urgent matters that are not feasible to get the entire board together. Now, for the important part, risks, the board and the management are responsible for Overlooking it all, this involves internal review and what they might call senior management, which ranks risks based on probability, amounts at stake, and reputational consequences. All the corporate governance documents you might need is on their website. The company runs with a written code of conduct that applies to all our employees and directors. A yearly training reflecting the principles laid out in their code of conduct and other material policies is mandatory for all employees globally. Okay, so what's the real story here? Orion S.A seems to be navigating a tricky landscape. The profit dip is a concern, but they're trying to get out of it with some strategic investments and sustainability efforts. There is related parties that they do business with, such as DGW, a joint venture company. There are transactions with related parties. The executive compensation is pretty high, which is good for those people, but might turn off some investors that think the paychecks are too fat for the company's returns. Ultimately, Orion is trying to balance short-term challenges with long-term growth, and it is still profitable despite the circumstances. It just depends whether or not they can grow or stay flat. That's it for today's Corporate Decoder. If you found this breakdown helpful, give us a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more financial deep dives. Until next time, keep those investments smart.